Good evening, Smith Station families. This is Mr. Peck, the principal here at Smith Station, and I'm tremendously excited. Today is our very first day or our kickoff for One School, One Book. And if you don't know yet, our book is The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. Every single member of our school, students and staff, have received a copy of the book. And during the course of the remainder of the month, we'll be having special activities, events. Students will have opportunities to create projects, bulletin boards, and just a way to essentially celebrate reading. If you've listened to any of my podcasts or read newsletters that I've sent, that is certainly one of our priorities here at school, is not only to create great readers, but also to foster a love of reading as well. So that's hopefully what we're going to accomplish during this month. Because obviously there's follow-up books to this book that we're reading. There'll be trivia questions in the morning, but another piece to this is we'll have mystery readers throughout the course of the month. So every evening there'll be a different reader, and students and yourselves do not know who that individual is. But they'll be reading a few chapters every night. So we encourage you as parents to read with your children. We'll be reading as well, so if you need a night off, and then also, obviously, we want our children to be able to dive into the books as well. So hopefully it will be a group effort there. All right, well, without further ado, and I'll be reading it digitally this evening, I'm going to read the first couple chapters of The Wild Robot. And the first chapter here is the ocean. So the chapters are really brief, but I will go ahead and kick things off. Chapter 1, the ocean. Our story begins on the ocean with wind and rain and thunder and lightning and waves. A hurricane roared and raged through the night. And in the middle of the chaos, a cargo ship was sinking, down, down, down to the ocean floor. The ship left hundreds of crates floating on the surface, but as the hurricane thrashed and swirled and knocked them around, the crates also began sinking into the depths. One after another, they were swallowed up by the waves until only 5 crates remained. By morning, the hurricane was gone. There were no clouds, no ships, no land in sight. There was only calm water and clear skies, and those 5 crates lazily bobbing along on an ocean current. Days passed, and then a smudge of green appeared on the horizon. As the crates drifted closer, the soft green shapes slowly sharpened into the hard edges of a wild, rocky island. The first crate rode to shore on a tumbling, rumbling wave, and then crashed against the rocks with such force that the whole thing burst apart. Now, reader, what I haven't mentioned is that tightly packed inside each crate was a brand new robot. The cargo ship had been transporting hundreds of them before it was swept up in the storm. Now only 5 robots were left. Actually, only 4 were left because when the first crate crashed against the rocks, the robot inside shattered to pieces. The same thing happened to the next crate. It crashed against the rocks and robot parts flew everywhere. Then it happened to the next crate and the next. Robot limbs and torsos were flung on the ledges. A robot head splashed into a tide pool. A robot foot skittered into the waves. And then came the last crate. It followed the same path as the others, but instead of crashing against the rocks, it sloshed against the remains of the first 4 crates. Soon more waves were heaving it up out of the water. It soared through the air, spinning and glistening until it slammed down onto a tall shelf of rock. The crate was cracked and crumpled, but the robot inside was safe. Chapter 2, the Otters. The island's northern shore had become something of a robot gravesite. Scattered across rocks were the broken bodies of 4 dead robots. They sparkled in the early morning light, and their sparkles caught the attention of some very curious creatures. A gang of sea otters was romping through the shallows when one of them noticed the sparkling objects. The otters all froze. They raised their noses to the wind, but they smelled only the sea, so they cautiously crept over the rocks to take a closer look. The gang slowly approached a robot torso. The biggest otter stuck out his paw, swatted the heavy thing, and quickly jumped back. But nothing happened, so they wriggled over to the robot hand. Another brave otter stuck out her paw and flipped the hand over. It made a lovely clinking sound on the rocks, and the otters squeaked it with delight. They spread out and played with robot arms and legs and feet. More hands were flipped. One of the otters discovered a robot head in the tide pool, and they all dove in and took turns rolling it along the bottom. And then they spotted something else. Overlooking the gravesite was one surviving crate. Its sides were scrapped and dented, and a wide gash ran across its top. The otter scampered up the rocks and climbed onto the big box. 10 furry faces poked through the gash, eager to see what was inside. What they saw was another brand new robot, but this robot was different from the others. It was still in one piece, and it was surrounded by spongy packing foam. The otters reached through the gash and tore at the foam. It was so soft and squishy. They squeaked as they snatched at the fluffy stuff. Shreds of it floated away on the sea breeze, and in all the excitement, one of their paws accidentally slapped an important little button on the back of the robot's head. Click! It took a while for the others to realize that something was happening inside the crate, but a moment later they heard it. A low whirring sound. Everyone stopped and stared, and then the robot opened her eyes. Chapter 3. The Robot. The robot's computer brain booted up. Her programs began coming online, and then, still packed in her crate, she automatically started to speak. Hello, I am Rosum, Unit 7134, but you may call me Roz. While my robotic systems are activating, I will tell you about myself. Once fully activated, I will be able to move and communicate and learn. Simply give me a task, and I will complete it. Over time, I will find better ways of completing my task. I will become a better robot. When I am not needed, I will stay out of the way and keep myself in good working order. Thank you for your time. I am now fully activated. So parents, family, students, thank you for your time. I look forward to the upcoming weeks as we continue celebrating reading and just collectively as a school reading The Wild Robot. So everyone have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Take care.